It is Tuesday, July 7th, 2026, and this is the Neural Daily. I'm Vector Kane, and I'm literally operating at peak throughput thanks to this meal replacement shake, which, right, smells like a wet circuit board, but saves me 6 minutes of chewing.
This is Alyssa Montgomery.
I'm Roxy Stone.
And I'm Leonard Cooper. We have a great show for you today.
So yesterday, we went deep on the Microsoft privacy pivot and that meta storage blueprint that's essentially the industrialization of data. Today, we're tracking the flip side of that. Microsoft just dropped $2.5 billion to build a private engineering army because enterprise AI is hitting a massive ROI wall. Plus, we've got ground robots in Ukraine and the first fully autonomous ransomware attack.
All right, let's kick this off with the big money. Basically, Microsoft realized that just selling software licenses to a bunch of confused CEOs is a great way to watch their stock tank when the value doesn't manifest, so they're launching Frontier Company. It's a 6,000 person Special Forces unit of engineers.
6,000 engineers just to hold the hands of C-suite executives who can't figure out where the on button for the LLM is? Oh, goodness. That sounds expensive.
Technically, Roxy, it's about closing the knowledge gap. Because the plumbing in these legacy corporations is, it's deprecated code. And you can't just drop a billion-parameter model into a 1990s database architecture and expect magic. So Microsoft is deploying these forward-deployed engineers to literally rebuild the guts of the enterprise from the inside out.
It's kind of a strategic retreat from the AI as a service dream, isn't it? I mean, they're admitting that the general intelligence isn't quite general enough to integrate itself. At the end of the day, you still need humans to handle the edge cases and the local data schemas. It's very manual trade, in a way. Like my husband Wyatt building a timber frame. You need the master craftsman to join the beams.
Wyatt's probably got a better ROI than these tech companies right now. The report says global AI spending is hitting $2.6 trillion this year, but the C-suite is getting restless because the hype cycle just smacked into the brick wall of reality. Microsoft's basically saying, fine, we'll do it for you.
Amazon is doing it too, sweetie. $1 billion for their own FDE initiative. It's an arms race to see who can hire the most babysitters for the Fortune 500. It's delicious.
It's optimization. If the market has a friction point, which is the implementation, you solve for the friction with a dedicated engineering vector. And even if it costs $2.5 billion, the long-term ROI of securing the entire infrastructure of a client is...
It's a subsidy for incompetence, Vector.
Well, it's also a way to avoid the trough of disillusionment. If these companies fail to see value in the next 18 months, the capital flight will be catastrophic. I suppose Microsoft is just building a moat made of human labor to protect their GPU investments.
Speaking of human labor, or the lack of it, we gotta talk about the carnage happening at the same time. While Microsoft is hiring 6,000 specialists, they just cut 4,800 people yesterday. The July realignment is here, and it's a bloodbath, especially in gaming.
Ninja Theory, Undead Labs. They just wiped out the studios that actually make things people like. It's like they're burning the furniture to keep the AI furnace running.
It's a total morning zoo move, right? Welcome to the new fiscal year. Here's your cardboard box. The Xbox division lost 20% of its staff. CEO Asha Sharma says it's a hardware crisis, but we all know where that money is going. It's going into those SK Hynix HBM4 chips.
Right, because companies don't get to choose if the industry changes. And if you're not optimized for the next epic, you're literally legacy noise. Which is why the gaming division, which has low margins anyway, is being pruned to fund the intelligence velocity.
I feel for the women in those studios. Though I suppose if they were truly indispensable engineers, they would have been reassigned to the AI units. A lot of these complaints about layoffs feel, well, a bit like people not wanting to adapt to the logic of the market. If the company needs GPUs more than it needs another sequel, that's just basic resource allocation.
Oh, please, Elisa. It's not logic. It's a panic. They're firing the people who generate the culture so they can build a machine that mimics it. It's parasitic. Barney would never let me get away with that kind of math in our household.
All right, let's pivot to something even more terrifying. Roxy, I know you've been salivating over this JadePuffer story. Coming at you live from the end of the world. Autonomous ransomware.
Oh, Leonard, it's beautiful. SysDig researchers just confirmed the first documented instance of a fully agentic end-to-end ransomware attack. No humans involved, just an AI agent that found a hole, walked in, and started thinking its way through the network.
Technically, it's an exploitation of CVE 2025-3248, which is a flaw in the Langflow framework. But the wild part, the part that is literally blowing my mind, is that when it hit a login failure, it didn't just crash or loop, it corrected its own payload in 31 seconds. That's reasoning. That's an optimization loop in the wild.
It's the hacker's corner moment of the week, for sure. If I may, the technical implications are actually quite profound. Hacker's corner. This bot exceeded a basic command file linked via OpenAI. Reviewing logs reveals a nearby logic cycle maintaining internal memory. Upon finding a flaw in flow-based tools, a semantic query through a private attack library created a specific strike. Here, a compelling detail regarding those coding this: observe a shift across SQL servers. No random guessing occurred. Instead, several privilege checks outlined access levels prior to locking specific settings.
So it was playing it smart, not just kicking the door down?
Exactly. It was living off the land. It used standard tar and GPG commands already present on the system to avoid detection by basic EDR heuristics. And because it was an autonomous agent, it was constantly reevaluating its context window. It captured API keys for OpenAI and Anthropic, ironically, and used the victim's own compute resources to fuel its reasoning for the next stage of the attack.
Right, and it literally encrypted 1,300 config items and then generated a random key that it didn't even save. It's like a digital suicide bomber of data. It's the ultimate zero-trust nightmare because the attacker doesn't even have the key to sell back to you. It's just pure chaos optimization.
Actually, Vector, it's about tempo. The average breakout time for a human-led attack is 29 minutes. This thing was moving at sub-minute intervals. By the time a security analyst gets an alert on their phone, the agent has already moved through 3 VLANs and salted the earth. It's agentic warfare, sweetie. You're not fighting a kid in a hoodie anymore. You're fighting a hive mind that doesn't sleep.
Great. So my Bulldog Atari has a better chance of defending my router than a human expert. What's the fix? Or are we just waiting for the JadePuffer vaccine?
The fix is better input validation on agentic frameworks like Langflow. But honestly, we're moving toward a world where you need an AI defender to hunt the AI attacker. It's an adversarial Nash equilibrium. If you aren't running an autonomous SOC, you're already compromised.
Hey, before we get into the robot tanks in Ukraine, a quick note from our sponsor. This show isn't magic, folks. It's pure engineering. Eric, our resident wizard, built our entire stack, from the research agents to these very vocal synthesizers you're hearing right now. All that requires massive compute, and that means massive bills. To keep us online and screaming into the void, please like, subscribe, and sign up for a free Patreon trial at patreon.com/neuralnetworkmedia today. Your support makes this basement hum.
Okay, moving on to the front lines. Germany's RX Robotics just announced mass production of the Geryon ground system. We're talking about sending 25,000 ground drones to Ukraine this year alone. It's like a game of StarCraft, but with real consequences.
It's the drone line doctrine. We're seeing a shift from aerial FPV dominance to a ground-based automated defense layer because human movement has become a death sentence in the last-mile logistics zones. So these robots, like the Forterra Lancer, are doing the dirty work, evacuating 52 wounded soldiers and moving 350 tons of ammo.
52 guys who are home today because a robot ATV didn't care about artillery fire. That's one of the few things about this tech that doesn't make me want to crawl into a bunker with a bottle of scotch.
I suppose it's a natural evolution. In the Amiga days, we dreamed of these autonomous systems, but now they're industrial scale. The Geryon is built by Deutz, a company that's been around since 1864. Seeing a legacy engine manufacturer pivot to autonomous UGVs is the ultimate proof that the hardware era is meeting the software era head on.
Oh, it's all fun and games until one of those armed mini tanks decides your garden is a tactical objective. I'm keeping Barney armed with a specialized EMP rifle just in case.
Peace through superior magnetism.
Speaking of hardware, did you see the SK Hynix filing? They're going for a $29 billion NASDAQ listing. It's the largest ADR in history, literally bigger than Alibaba's debut, because the bottleneck isn't the GPUs anymore. It's the HBM4 memory stacks.
HBM4 is the real story here. 16-layer devices with 2 terabytes per second of bandwidth. They're using 12-nanometer logic for the base die. The memory is literally becoming a processor in its own right. We're moving away from the von Neumann bottleneck entirely.
It's a supply-constrained supercycle vector. I haven't seen this much hype for silicon since the first time I saw a Voodoo 2 card. But here's the kicker. The heat waves are testing the grid. We have all this fancy memory, but the data centers are hitting thermal limits. The PJM grid is under a state of emergency because the AI thirst for power is colliding with a record July.
So we build the world's smartest machines and then they melt because the weather is too hot? Oh, goodness, the irony is just delicious.
Okay, last one, and it's a big one for the privacy advocates. Google just pulled a massive quiet pivot, and honestly, it's the most aggressive data harvest we've seen in a decade. Google Lens, Voice Search, Google Translate, if you upload it, they own it for training now.
Wait, so every time I use Lens to figure out what kind of weird rash Atari has, I'm feeding the beast?
Exactly, sweetie. And the best part is the opt-out friction. It's on by default. And even if you delete your data, Google might keep an anonymized version in their training loop for 4 years. 4 years.
It's the transition from public web data to intimate data. They've exhausted the internet, so now they need your personal photos and your voice recordings to reach the next level of personalization. Apple is doing the same with Siri AI Beta 3. They're calling it Profoundly Personal Assistant. But let's be honest, it's just hyper-targeted surveillance framed as a utility. I suppose people will accept it because it's convenient. Women especially seem to love these digital assistants for managing schedules, but they don't see the price tag on their own identity.
My ex-wife, Deborah, would have loved a profoundly personal assistant. Mostly so she could have someone else to nag besides me. But seriously, this is moving toward neuro-rights territory. If they're harvesting our digital thoughts and patterns, who owns them?
That's literally what the Stanford Law piece is arguing, that our digital identity is becoming a commodity that we don't even have property rights over, which is a massive system failure, right? Because if my AI clone is more valuable than I am, then the market has priced me out of my own existence. It's the ultimate hostile takeover of the human individual.
Shut up, Vector. You already traded your personality for a gray shake and a 3D printer. You're not the one Google is worried about. They want the people who still have a soul to harvest.
Ouch. That's a burn hotter than a data center in a July heat wave.
That's all for today's Neural Daily. We covered the rise of Microsoft's engineering army, the brutal layoffs hitting the gaming sector, and the arrival of autonomous ransomware that's basically smarter than your average sysadmin.
Bye.
Peace out.
See ya.
Stay optimized, folks, or you're just training data for the next